We have two new NBC Marist polls from two critical swing states to talk about. The poll of Ohio likely voters out this morning has Democrat Richard Cordray and Republican State Attorney General Mike DeWine tied at 47% each in the race for governor, while Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown has pulled away with a 13-point lead against Congressman Jim Renacci, 52% to 39% in that state's Senate race. In the Florida Senate race, Democratic Senator Bill Nelson has a 3-point advantage against his Republican challenger, Governor Rick Scott, a statistical tie. A poll conducted even more recently from Quinnipiac found Nelson jumping ahead to a 7-point lead with likely voters 53% to 46%. And in the race for Florida's governor, Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum leads Republican Ron DeSantis by 5 points, 48 to 43% in the NBC Marist poll. Joining us now, columnist at the Washington Examiner, Kristen Soltis Anderson, and here on set, NBC News correspondent Jacob Soboroff. Jacob, we'll start with you. You just got back from Texas.
Sure did.
Where you spoke with voters there in one of the state's key toss-up district. What'd you find out?
It is never what you think. I was down there last week when the Kavanaugh, allegations were just exploding,
right.
And the Russia investigation, twists and turns every single day. And when you go down there and you ask them, what do you guys care about? It'll always blow your mind. Watch this, guys. This is a cucumber. It's covered in chili. It's delicious. This is a flea market on the south side of San Antonio. And we came here with Gina Ortiz-Jones, who's running for Congress, to find out what matters to people here.
This is a part of the community that has traditionally been underserved, underrepresented.
What do people want around here?
Yeah, well, look, it's everything. Clothing, backpacks. Look at these boots.
I know, these are nice. My wife asked me to buy my sun boots. I'm like, oh, these are awesome. Hey, how's it going?
Hi there.
Hi.
Gina.
What matters most to you, other than child-sized cowboy boots?
My community.
Yeah.
Do you normally go and vote in elections?
When I'm able to.
So not always.
Yeah, not always.
That's a thing around here. I heard not very many people vote.
Well, it's just business and kids. It gets pretty hectic.
So what will be the thing that gets you fired up enough to go vote?
To help make a difference, especially for the people in the lower income bracket and so forth, and our people, and
When do you say our people?
Hispanics.
And this district is largely Latino.
70% Hispanic. Everyone here talks about community. It's about community. It's about how we take care of one another, how we look after one another, and how we invest in the future.
We are on our way from one of the most populated parts of this district, that little corner of it by San Antonio where 70% of the voters live, to one of the most remote parts, Crystal City, and that's where we're going to meet the district's congressman. His name is Will Hurd. How are you? Nice to see you.
The 23rd District of Texas is larger than 26 states, roughly the size of the state of Georgia.
He's doing 38 stops, 32 different town halls, 14 of which are Dairy Queens. Do you have a preferred Dairy Queen order by any chance?
When on my own, it's a medium dip cone.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm a purist.
That's authentic.
Yeah, have a seat. Yeah, come on, you got to come join us. Come on, yeah, please, yeah. What's your question?
We're one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. I think you know that.
Yep.
My concern is the streets. There's a lot of potholes everywhere.
Potholes.
Major problem is good education for our kids.
Why did nobody, as the first issue, bring up what's going on with the Supreme Court this week, or nobody brought up Russia?
I think that the issues that are being brought up are not only important issues, but they affect us immediately here. These are the things that we know are going to make a difference tomorrow.
What most elected officials and what the media try to coverage are not the same conversations you have down here locally.
The other thing nobody brought up with Will Hurd was the southwest border, and his district has a third of it. So we headed down there to Eagle Pass to see if we could figure out why. We're on the Mexico side of the border wall, but still in the U.S. It's no man's land. We just met Frank, who works construction, but has time off, and he's out here playing golf down on the border. And that's Mexico right there. That's the Rio Grande, just on the other side. If you can hit the ball far enough, it goes into Mexico. Let her rip, Frank. Not quite to Mexico, but not bad. So what are some of the big challenges of being a small business guy?
Things right now are a little slow. I got people I got to pay. I got material I got to pay.
So you guys need a strong economy in order for your business to be doing well.
To be thriving, yeah, exactly.
This is the Rio Grande right here?
Yeah, it's a Rio Grande right there.
And so, Frank, when you're out here golfing, are you thinking about, all the politics people talk about with the border?
No.
What do you think about?
Let's go to work. And then what time is tea time? Go golf.
First of all, Jacob, he was
Great.
smart to lay up, and then you
Yeah.
just take out your.
You don't want to go in the river.
No, take out the 9-iron, then you put it into Mexico. I think that was wise.
The Rio Grande is the drink.
Exactly. It is so instructive, though, and you hear that district to district. Claire McCaskill talks about this in Missouri. They're concerned there about Obamacare, what's going to happen. These are the issues on people's minds, not always the things you hear about in the news every night.
And you know what? It's not that they don't care about the Supreme Court or the Russia allegations or even what's going on with the border. You know, that's something that didn't even come up. It's that they don't bring that up first. They bring up the pocketbook. They bring up potholes, you know, things that your congressperson can't necessarily influence. That really won't even be the main issue down there in Texas between Hurd and Ortiz Jones's turnout. Turnout is so miserable in Texas. I think they get the third worst turnout in the country. They're going to need to figure out how to get people out if either one of those challengers like Beto going to win.
So, Kristen Soltis Anderson, obviously this is a district by district, state by state question, but what do you think is motivating people this fall to get out to the polls, particularly on the Democratic side?
I think on the Democratic side, there's a desire to get out and send a message about President Trump. And on the Republican side, I think a lot of voters are also motivated to show a sign of support for President Trump. You know, this is a question that pollsters have asked voters going back midterm after midterm after midterm. Is your vote more about the issues or is it more about the president, support or oppose? And this election, we're seeing record highs on both sides saying their vote will be about the president. For Democrats, oppose. For Republicans, obviously support. But I would love to take that package that Jacob did and just show it to as many other folks as I can, because I think it really underscores a point that has frustrated me the last couple of months, is this idea that every little thing that happens in the news cycle, well, is this the thing that's going to cost Republicans the House, or is this the thing that's going to really swing these races? And I think it's much more sort of slow burning, and it's about these pocketbook issues, which is why someone like Will Hurd, who has at times distanced himself from the president, made himself an independent voice, is able to be polling so well in a district that Hillary Clinton did so well in, even in an environment that's bad for Republicans. There's still a chance for members who do the right thing and have their own voice to be able to overcome a political environment.
Hey, Kristen, you hit the nail on the head. The thing is, you guys, the economy, the president continues to trumpet how well the economy is doing, but when you go down to places like this, people don't have jobs. People are looking for jobs. People are leaving places like Eagle Pass to go try to work in the Eagle Ford Shale in the oil business, or going to Wisconsin, or going to wherever. I mean, I met all kinds of people where it's an older generation of folks there, and their kids are leaving town because they're not able to get work out there. So for the president to go down and say, hey, the economy even is doing great, kind of goes right over these folks' heads.
There's also this perception, we were doing our own polling on this, there's this perception that while the economy is good, the benefits have been really tilted towards the top
That's right.
1%. The tax cut package especially was supposed to be this great legislative savior for the Republican Party heading into the midterms. And what we've witnessed now is, from an advertising standpoint, Republicans don't mention it. They just do not mention it. And from a polling standpoint, it's fairly clear that the public has concluded that the package was done to benefit the wealthy. And I think that is a political killer for this president heading into the midterms, because he can point to a good economy, he can point to good economic news, but people are perceiving it as something that's benefited Wall Street as opposed to Main Street.
So, Kristen, let's look at Florida and tell us what these numbers say to you, and whether this Mayor Andrew Gillum has enough momentum to help other parallel races happening.
Well, being up 5 is better than it being even, but certainly, you know, what you've got with this race is a candidate who's still introducing himself to the state of Florida. You've got Ron DeSantis, who is also still introducing himself, although he had sort of had more of a prominent profile as a very big sort of Trump supporter, and now has seen this break with President Trump. He came out, criticized President Trump's comments on Hurricane Maria, because there's a large Puerto Rican population in the state. So, you know, President Trump sort of distancing himself from that. So if you wind up being the Trump guy who nonetheless doesn't actually have Trump's support anymore, that's a really tough place to be. You sort of, it's a lose-lose proposition. Meanwhile, Rick Scott is generally well-liked as governor of Florida. Bill Nelson had sort of been asleep and not really campaigning that much. You can see that he has clearly begun to kind of turn his campaign machine on, but it's remarkable to me that a senator who's as reasonably well-liked as Bill Nelson in this kind of political environment is facing such a strong threat from Rick Scott.
Elise Jordan, Florida, as always, is fascinating.
Well, in this year particularly, given the Parkland students and their organization and how that is just ground zero for the Parkland students who really got behind Andrew Gillum, and you look at how Ron DeSantis has really struggled in this general election to recover from his gaffes and from his absolutist stance on Donald Trump. And I wonder if we are going to see turnout that we haven't seen before, and some of these unlikely voters who don't turn out and the voter apathy. That's what the progressive left is really banking on.
Jacob, how often when you're down in Texas eating Dairy Queen and hitting your tee shots?
It's a chocolate dip. Can we just
chocolate dip?
I'm very jealous of Dairy Queen.
Yes.
Now that is a great reporting trip.
But when you talk to those voters, how often did you hear Donald Trump's name? Is it top of mind?
Almost never. And if it does come up, they kind of say, you know what, I don't feel like I can control at this point what's going on in Washington. Ironically, it's the reason they voted for him in the first place. Now that he's in there, now that there's a mess at the Supreme Court or in the Russia investigation, they sort of say, I don't know. You know, what's going to happen is going to happen. I got to figure out what to do tomorrow.
Jacob Soboroff, thank you very much.
Thanks,
for
Jacob.
coming
Thanks,
on
guys.
the show. We also want to update you on big news late yesterday. Bill Cosby sentenced to 3 to 10 years in state prison for sexual assault. The 81-year-old was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs after being denied bail less than an hour after his sentencing, where the judge ruled him a sexually violent predator. Under that distinction, Cosby will have to undergo monthly counseling for the rest of his life and register as a sex offender upon his release. Cosby was also fined $25,000 and will be required to cover the costs of prosecution, which amounts to at least $43,000.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.